In the Jin capital, where immortal factions schemed beneath silken courtyards and mortal crowds bustled unaware, a single misstep could invite annihilation. And tonight fate had already begun sharpening its blade. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. The Endless Sky Saintess had no desire to forge a formidable enmity over what was at its heart, a mere misunderstanding. After a brief silence, she chose to yield a step. A condition. Han Li cast her a frigid glance, his expression as blank and distant as a frozen lake in winter. Lifting her chin, the Saintess spoke with composed dignity. If fellow Taoist Li is amenable, I am willing to offer a sum of spirit stones as recompense and apology for my earlier offense. Hehe, spirit stones. Han Li let out a low, humorless chuckle. Without warning, his hand shot to the bundle slung across his back. The abrupt movement drew the wary gazes of the surrounding cultivators. With a single motion, he shook the bundle loose. A sheathed saber slipped free and struck the ground with a resonant clang. In that instant, golden radiance burst forth, shimmering like ripples of dawnlight across a tranquil sea. Cries of astonishment erupted from the onlookers. One glance was enough. This was no common weapon, but an exceedingly rare and precious treasure. Suddenly, Han Li's fury made perfect sense. To have his bundle forcefully opened was not merely an intrusion. It was the public exposure of a cherished treasure, before covetous eyes. When the Saintess beheld the saber, a flicker of astonishment betrayed her otherwise serene gaze. She extended her spiritual sense, probing it again and again in disbelief. Time passed in silence as she examined it thoroughly. Yet she detected nothing amiss. No hidden fluctuation, no trace of illusion. It was exactly what it appeared to be. Gaten Hao and his fellow sect members exchanged uneasy glances. Embarrassment colored their expressions. Because of this misunderstanding, they had nearly committed a grave blunder, one that might have sown needless resentment from a powerful rogue. Cultivator. Fortune had spared them. The conflict had not escalated beyond remedy. The old Taoist Wubi and the Buddhist monk merely observed from the side with faint smiles, as though detached from the dust of worldly disputes. At last the Saintess exhaled softly. A trace of disappointment surfaced upon her flawless features. It seems I was mistaken, she admitted with measured grace. If fellow Taoist Li has any other condition, I shall do my utmost to satisfy it. Han Li's gaze shifted, settling upon the ornament at her waist. I have no shortage of spirit stones. How about that jade pendant? This? She followed his gaze, genuine bewilderment crossing her face. The pendant she wore was no trivial adornment. Delicately carved in the shape of a butterfly, it was an exquisite jade talisman, a rare support-type magic tool capable of calming the mind and focusing one's spirit. Though precious to foundation establishment and core formation cultivators, its effects were negligible to one at the mid-nascent soul stage. To her, however, its value lay in sentiment. It had accompanied her through the long years of her cultivation. Why would he want this? Her fingers lightly brushed the pendant, hesitation flickering in her eyes. Han Li's gaze sharpened. What? Is fellow Taoist Lin reluctant to part with it? Then let us change the price. That pearl hairpin would suffice. Her brows knit together briefly. Then, as though having reached a sudden decision, she removed the jade pendant and tossed it toward him. It is yours. A trifling magic tool, nothing more. I was merely indulging in sentiment. Han Li caught the pendant. A faint warmth lingered upon it, as if it still bore the trace of her body's temperature. He nodded with quiet satisfaction, and with a subtle turn of his wrist, the ornament vanished from sight. He then beckoned to the golden saber. With a low hum, it leapt obediently into his grasp. A strip of grey cloth shot from his sleeve, wrapping the weapon once more into an unassuming bundle. Slinging it across his back, Han Li turned without another word and strode toward the market's exit. The others watched his retreating figure, exchanging troubled glances. His cold indifference left a lingering chill in the air. Just as he was about to depart, the Saintess seemed to recall something. We have yet to learn your esteemed name. Might you enlighten us? Without slowing his pace, Han Li replied in an indifferent voice that drifted back on the wind. A wandering cultivator from overseas, Li Feiyu. Li Feiyu. The saintess murmured the name, her gaze fixed upon his departing back. A faint, icy glint flickered in her eyes. Brother Ji, have you ever heard of such a ruthless cultivator from overseas? I am acquainted with many, yet none so unyielding. Gei Tianhao's expression darkened at her words. Lady Lin's question is not easily answered. Though the overseas cultivators are nominally part of the great Jin's cultivation world, they are fiercely independent. Few ever set foot upon the mainland. Their circumstances vary wildly. Countless rogue eccentric sects, large and small, and grand cultivators whose abilities remain hidden from the world. Of course, the three renowned overseas immortals are another matter altogether. The saintess frowned faintly. Knowing she lacked the means to pursue him further, she consigned the name Li Feiyu to the recesses of her memory, though the unease in her heart didn't dissipate. Or Han Li left the market in a blur, his figure dissolving like mist beneath the sun. Moments later, he reappeared upon a bustling street crowded with oblivious mortals. As he walked, a faint smile touched his lips. Through voice transmission, he spoke softly. Senior, you have my utmost admiration. To deceive so many nascent soul cultivators with spiritual sense alone. Even I perceived not the slightest flaw in your transformation. Monarch's soul divergence replied coolly, it was nothing remarkable. Once you complete the final 3 layers of the great development technique, you too could toy with other cultivators as though they danced in your palm. Were my illusion arts more refined, eliminating lesser foes without lifting a finger would be effortless. Han Li sighed in awe. The first 4 layers are already so formidable. If I cultivate it to completion, my spiritual sense will reach unimaginable heights. It is a pity I lack the time to refine the final layers, even though Senior has bestowed them upon me. A faint chuckle echoed in his mind. Though your spiritual roots are mediocre, your aptitude for my technique is exceptional. With additional soul-nurturing arts and rare treasures to assist you, your comprehension of the great development technique may one day surpass even mine in my prime. I can only hope, Han Li replied. After a pause, he asked, there is one matter that puzzles me. Why did Senior instruct me to take the Saintess's ornament? Monarch's soul divergence snorted softly. Do you believe the endless sky Saintess will let you roam freely now that she has arrived in the great Jin? Han Li sighed. She will likely scour the land for me. After all, I seized the soaring tribe's holy beast incarnation and that strange cauldron. Now that she has allied herself with the yin-sifting sect, they may become a troublesome force in the future. For that very reason, Monarch's soul divergence said slowly, I had you take something from her person. In the past, I mastered the refinement of a detection pearl. By capturing her scent, you will be able to sense her presence within 50 kilometers. It will grant you forewarning and awareness of her approximate location, so you are not caught unprepared. In about a year, the effect will fade as the trace dissipates. That should suffice while you remain in the Jin capital. So that was your intention. My thanks, Senior. Joy flickered across Han Li's features. I was not concerned for you, Monarch's soul divergence replied indifferently. I merely wish to ensure nothing befalls you before you refine my puppet body. Han Li only smiled faintly, offering no rebuttal. Abruptly, he altered his course, slipping into a narrow alley. After several twists and turns, he arrived at a deserted courtyard, long abandoned and cloaked in silence. There he halted. The warmth vanished from his expression, replaced by cold severity. Slowly he turned toward an apparently empty corner of the courtyard. A sharp gleam ignited within his eyes. Why have you been following me? A soft chuckle echoed through the stillness. Fellow Taoist Li truly lives up to his cultivation. To see through the ghost shadow technique I painstakingly refined, admirable indeed. Rest assured, I harbor no ill intent. A flash of green light shimmered in the air. From it emerged a hunched silhouette. Han Li narrowed his eyes as he examined the newcomer. The man was a shriveled elder with a crafty visage, his cultivation at the early nascent soul stage. His narrow eyes gleamed with restless calculation, betraying a mind ever-turning. Hostility surfaced in Han Li's gaze. His voice grew solemn, edged with killing intent. "You have yet to answer my question. Do you not know it is deeply offensive to trail a fellow cultivator? I could end your life here and none would ever know." The small old man merely chuckled, utterly unruffled. "I sought you out with sincere intent to propose an exchange. There is no need for such killing aura. I assure you, fellow Taoist Li, you will find the matter greatly to your benefit. I have no interest in skulking figures such as yourself. It would be best if you left." Before the small old man could even finish his proposal, Han Li dismissed him outright. The old man blinked in surprise, yet almost immediately, as though recalling something crucial, the tension in his wrinkled face eased. The folds at the corners of his eyes relaxed, and a knowing smile crept across his lips. "There is no need to decide so hastily, fellow Taoist," he said gently. "You would do well to hear me out first. Otherwise, you may find misfortune knocking at your door." Misfortune. Han Li's brows lifted faintly. He clasped his hands behind his back, adopting a contemplative posture. "Now you have piqued my curiosity. Go on, enlighten me." "Wise indeed." The old man chuckled. "Allow me to show you something first. The rest can be discussed after." He slapped the pouch at his waist. A streak of green light shot forth, circling once through the air before settling atop his head. The glow faded, revealing a fist-sized spirit beast. It resembled a grotesquely enlarged slug, its body a vivid emerald hue, slick and faintly luminous. Two long, translucent antennae swayed slowly, as though tasting the currents of the air. A slug beast. Han Li's expression darkened. "Why summon such a thing? Do you intend to spit venom at me?" The old man laughed softly. "This low-grade creature could not possibly threaten you, fellow Taoist Li. However, it possesses a minor mutation, one that allows it to pierce certain illusion techniques. While you confronted the cultivators of the yin sifting sect, I quietly attached a strand of spiritual sense to this little fellow." He stroked the slug fondly. "Surely you understand my meaning." For a fleeting instant, Han Li's heart trembled. Yet his face remained tranquil, like still water concealing unseen depths. "And what," he asked evenly, "do you intend to do with that knowledge?" The old man's eyes gleamed with undisguised greed. "There is no need for such hostility," he said, spreading his hands. "I mean nothing by it, so long as you are willing to present a few treasures, or perhaps a generous amount of spirit, stones. In return, I will forget what I saw. You will be left in peace." Rather than anger, a faint smile curved Han Li's lips. "You are blackmailing me." The old man retreated 2 steps, a sinister grin tugging at his face. "You are thinking of killing me, aren't you? Abandon that notion. I have already taken precautions. A disciple of mine is shadowing the yin-sifting sect and the Endless Sky Saintess. Should anything happen to me, he will reveal everything the bamboo tube's illusion, all of it. I trust you understand how troublesome that would become." His voice grew colder. "Moreover, the Jin capital is teeming with high-grade cultivators for the grand auction. Is it wise to shed blood within the city? One whistle from me and you will be surrounded. 4 or 5 nascent soul cultivators may not suffice. But what of 7 or 8? Several yin-sifting sect elders are present in the capital. Can you truly escape such a net?" A wooden shield flew from his sleeve, expanding into a radiant yellow barrier that enveloped him in protective light. "It is wiser," he concluded smugly, "to swallow a small loss and avert calamity. You have no choice." Han Li frowned deeply, his gaze fixed upon the shimmering barrier. His expression shifted subtly as he appeared to deliberate. A long silence passed. At last his features smoothed, returning to calm composure. "It seems I must concede somewhat," he said evenly. "Otherwise matters may grow inconvenient. Tell me, what do you desire?" Joy flashed across the old man's face. "I am not greedy," he said hastily, though avarice gleamed nakedly in his eyes. "I seek only wealth, not strife. A few ancient treasures will suffice." At those words, Han Li's brow lifted faintly. He reached into his storage pouch with solemn deliberation. When his hand emerged, an egg-sized sphere of intertwined golden and silver light rested upon his palm. You ask for several ancient treasures. Your appetite is impressive. His tone carried faint displeasure. I possess no surplus ancient artifacts. However, I once acquired this Cloud Knight pearl. It does not suit my cultivation path. I shall give it to you. He flicked his wrist, sending the radiant sphere drifting forward. Do not be overly greedy, he added coolly. Greed has a way of devouring its master. The old man's smile widened, though suspicion flickered in his eyes. Rather than grasping the pearl directly, he tossed the slug aside and swept his sleeve. A veil of black light enveloped the gold-and-silver sphere. He commanded the slug to inspect it again, verifying that it was neither illusion nor bound by spiritual ownership. After a long, cautious examination, he finally seized it. The craftsmanship is unusual, he muttered, eyes glittering. Quite unlike common treasures. What are its effects? You would do best to test it personally, Han Li replied mildly. I assure you it will not disappoint. Indeed, the old man sneered. But do not think a single treasure will satisfy me. He began channeling magic power into the sphere, thoughts already turning toward further extortion. Han Li's lips curved ever so slightly. Yes, he said softly, his voice turning cold as void. One is not enough. A heartbeat passed. So how about I send you to the afterlife? Alarm exploded across the old man's face, but it was too late. The gold-and-silver sphere began devouring his magic power with savage hunger. With a crisp crack, it burst apart, revealing dozens of black-speckled gold-devouring beetles. The last remnants of Han Li's swarm. They lunged forward in a frenzy, descending upon his face. At such distance, there was no evasion. A flash of terror crossed his mind as the beetles engulfed him, their mandibles tearing relentlessly. Only the dense protective light surrounding his body and his formidable cultivation kept him from being shredded. Instantly, blinded, he clawed wildly at them, hands blazing with black radiance. At the same time, he inhaled sharply, attempting to whistle. A cold snort echoed in his ears. Agony detonated within his spiritual sense, as though it had been ripped apart by invisible claws. His body convulsed violently, and a scream tore from his throat. In blind panic, he shot upward into the air. The searing pain in his spiritual sense abruptly ceased. The beetles scattered away from his face. His vision returned only to behold a meter-long golden sword wreathed in violet flames, descending toward him like the judgment of heaven. With no time left, he poured every ounce of spiritual power into the yellow barrier before him. Only then did he realize, from the very beginning, this so-called overseas vagrant had never intended to yield. There had been no hesitation, no compromise, only a carefully prepared execution. Regret flooded his heart. Fortunately, the wooden shield was an ancient treasure of great renown. It should withstand even a mid-nascent soul cultivator. The golden sword cleaved through the barrier as though slicing through tender tofu. In a blinding flare, the blade fell. His body split cleanly in two. From the severed torso, an inch-tall black nascent soul shot forth, its tiny face frozen in horror, only to be instantly sealed within a block of purple ice. The sword wheeled gracefully through the air. In passing, it sliced the emerald slug in half, scattering blood like crimson rain. Then bolts of dense golden lightning erupted from the blade, coiling around the imprisoned nascent soul. Thunder roared. In a cascade of deafening detonations, the nascent soul was obliterated utterly, body and spirit erased from existence. Silence descended. Han Li stood composed, his expression tranquil. With a casual gesture, the old man's storage pouch flew into his grasp. 3 scarlet fireballs leapt from his other hand, reducing the corpse and the spirit beast alike to drifting ash. Without lingering a moment longer, Han Li rose into the sky, his figure dissolving into the horizon like a passing cloud. A quarter of an hour later, 5 streaks of light tore across the heavens and descended upon the courtyard. Getianhao, 2 yin-sifting sect elders, the Endless Sky Saintess, And an unfamiliar core formation youth. Here the youth said uneasily, staring at the magic tool trembling in his hand. This is where Master's aura vanished. Ge Tianhao surveyed the surroundings grimly. His gaze fell upon several dark red splatters staining the earth. Residual spiritual qi still lingered in the air. And traces of blood, he said heavily. Cultivator Li's aura remains as well. His voice turned somber. It appears your master has already perished. The youth's face drained of color. In a wavering voice he said, That's impossible. Though my master's cultivation was inferior to that villain's, he should at least have had a chance to escape. Ge Tianhao gave a cold snort, irritation flashing across his features. What do you know? He rebuked sharply. That scoundrel has slain cultivators of equal standing before. An early nascent soul cultivator falling to him is no surprise. Your master's inability to preserve his life is only natural. His gaze hardened. But enough of that. Explain in full what old man Xiao told you before he left. At that moment, the endless sky saintess silently swept her spiritual sense across the courtyard. Her figure blurred, reappearing some 20 meters away. She bent slightly and retrieved something from the ground. After examining it carefully, her expression darkened. Master told me nothing specific, the youth muttered, still pale. He only gave me this magic tool and instructed me to seek you out if anything unusual occurred with it. Or if he failed to return in time. Without a word, the saintess flicked her wrist and tossed an object toward him. There is no doubt your master has met with calamity, she said coolly. Is this not a fragment of the ancient treasure he relied upon? The youth hurriedly caught it. The moment his eyes fell upon the object, his heart sank into an abyss. It was a small splinter of yellow wood, faintly aglow with residual spiritual light. A fragment of the wooden shield. This is my master's shield, he cried hoarsely. Its defensive power was astonishing, its durability unmatched. How could it possibly be destroyed? His complexion turned utterly bloodless. The saintess glanced at Ge Tianhao. Fellow Taoist Lin Ge Tianhao said gravely, It would seem the old man is truly dead. I once heard you express doubt that this man possessed the strength to slay cultivators of equivalent rank. It appears he is even more ruthless than we imagined. He paused, his tone turning heavy. Old man Xiao was adept in numerous evasion techniques, yet he was killed before even calling for aid. This suggests he already wields the strength of a late nascent soul cultivator. With our current manpower, capturing him would be exceedingly difficult. The saintess frowned faintly. What? Brother Ji, do not tell me you intend to abandon the retrieval of your sect's signature treasure. The ghost-sifting banner lies in his hands. It is highly likely he was the one who slew your sect's fourth elder. Ge Tianhao let out a dry laugh. Even were he truly a late nascent soul cultivator, our sect would not forgive the murder of one of our elders, nor the theft of our treasured banner. However, his gaze sharpened. Your people harbor deep enmity toward this man, as well do they not? Why else would the endless sky saintess remain separated from her tribe for so many years? The saintess pressed her lips together briefly. Then a sweet smile bloomed upon her face, gentle, yet concealing something far colder. So long as this man is slain, she said softly, I will increase the agreed reward by 1/5. However, our sacred temple requires one of the treasures in his possession. Make it 3/10, Ge Tianhao countered without hesitation. We will lose many disciples in the pursuit of such a formidable foe. As for the treasure, you mentioned our previous agreement stands. The yin-sifting sect does not renege on its word. The saintess hesitated for only a breath before nodding. Very well, our temple agrees. Excellent. Ge Tianhao inclined his head. With your standing as saintess of the soaring tribes, your word carries weight. He turned to the yin-sifting sect elder beside him. Junior Marshal Brother Hugh, dispatch voice transmission talismans immediately. Summon all sect elders and nearby disciples in the vicinity of the Jin capital. We will mobilize our full strength. His voice grew colder. Since he has appeared at the market, he will undoubtedly attend the grand auction. That will be our opportunity. He paused thoughtfully. Our movements must remain discreet. We cannot draw the attention of other major sects. Low-grade disciples are forbidden from engaging him unless accompanied by several elders. In truth, the safest method would be to lure him into a prepared spell formation. Elder Hu hesitated. Should we inform Sect Master Fang? After all, he was the one who previously dispatched the fourth elder against this man. Tenhao's brows furrowed slightly. With the ghost-sifting banner restoration half finished, and the fourth elder's death, the Grand Elders are already displeased with Sect Master Fang. I hear he is in secluded refinement of a vicious treasure. Even if he came immediately, he would not reach the auction in time. Send him a sound transmission later. If we fail, he may attempt again with his own forces. After brief deliberation, the matter was settled. Moments later, streaks of radiant light shot skyward, vanishing into the heavens, though not before startling numerous mortals below. Despite the Jin capital's prohibition against flying, sects of the yin-sifting sect stature did not concern themselves with such trifles. Meanwhile, more than 10 kilometers away, Han Li walked along a quiet mortal road. His spiritual sense sifted through the contents of the old man's storage pouch. A vast assortment of items greeted him. Then, he abruptly halted. A flicker of astonishment surfaced in his eyes. Monarch Soul Divergence's languid voice sounded in his mind. Have you found something interesting? What is this? Han Li murmured. With a flick of his wrist, he produced a slender jade bottle, roughly 7 inches tall. Its surface was exquisitely crafted dark green and faintly translucent. As his fingers brushed its surface, a piercing chill seeped into his skin, startling him. He gave the bottle a gentle shake. Inside, faint splashing echoed. Could it be some form of spirit liquid? Han Li frowned. Yet this bottle is strange. My spiritual sense cannot penetrate it at all. If you wish to know Monarch Soul Divergence, warned, wait until you return. You are still on a mortal thoroughfare. Should something unusual occur upon opening it, you may attract unwanted attention. Of course. With a casual motion, the jade bottle vanished once more. Monarch Soul Divergence continued. Now that your identity has been exposed, you must tread more carefully in the Jin capital. The yin-sifting sect and the Endless Sky Saintess will not rest. They have surely deduced that you intend to attend the grand auction. Han Li's expression remained calm. It matters little. I doubt there exists another mutated spirit beast in the capital capable of piercing illusions. So long as I avoid late nascent soul cultivators, I should remain safe. The auction is our only chance to obtain the materials we require in time. Even if danger lurks, we must take the risk. That is acceptable, Monarch Soul Divergence replied coolly. Since you gather materials for my puppet body, I shall make an exception. Should matters grow dire, I will assist you with the soul fright thorn of the great development technique. Han Li's heart lightened. My thanks, Senior. Your words ease many of my concerns. 2 hours later, he returned unhurriedly to the Taoist monastery where he had been residing. After exchanging polite conversation with the abbot, he withdrew to his room. Soon, several temporary spell formations enveloped the chamber, sealing it tightly. Only then did Han Li retrieve the slender jade bottle once more. With practiced precision, he opened it. At once, a surge of glacial radiance burst forth. The temperature within the room plummeted violently. Even Han Li, cultivator of the purple apex flames, felt a shiver run through his body as the frigid light brushed against him. Alarmed, he immediately cloaked himself in violet flames. The icy mist recoiled upon contact, yet spread throughout the chamber, encasing it in thick frost. Had he not established restrictions, the cold qi might have spilled beyond the room. Though not as devastating as the purple apex flames, this glacial radiance rivaled the celestial ice flames in sheer coldness. What in the world? Shrouded in purple fire, he lifted the bottle and peered into its depths. The pale mist gradually dispersed, revealing within a silver liquid of blinding brilliance. Monarch Soul Divergence's voice suddenly trembled with rare excitement. This is... Carefully pour a single drop onto a jade disc. Let me examine it. Han Li's heart stirred. Without a word, he withdrew a palm-sized jade disc. Tilting the bottle slightly, a single drop of silver liquid fell. It struck the jade with a clear ringing chime. Unexpectedly, the drop condensed instantly into a perfect silver pearl, rolling lightly across the disc's surface. To Han Li's astonishment, it emitted no further glacial energy. It appeared entirely ordinary. Monarch Soul Divergence inhaled sharply. As I suspected, only myriad-year ice jade can nurture glacial quintessence. Han Li frowned faintly. I have never heard of myriad-year ice jade, nor of glacial quintessence. They sound exceedingly rare. They are Monarch Soul Divergence replied calmly. Glacial quintessence is a jade essence frequently used in tool and pill refinement. Yet to encounter it nurtured within myriad-year glacial jade, that is an event seldom witnessed in this world. He paused thoughtfully. If memory serves, the North Night Palace in the northwest of Great Jin possesses a small bottle of it as a legacy treasure. I have never heard of another such specimen. A faint note of recollection entered his tone. And yes, your snow crystal pearl was refined from myriad-year glacial jade as well. That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.